A very laggy late show with me. Oh my god, why is everything broken? Oh, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but literally everything across this country is on fire. Oh. Everything that is broken is broken. I know, I'm fancy dressed, I'm wearing a suit and tie. You know it's official when we do this. Welcome. My God. This is so... Oh. Welcome. I hope we're all doing well. Let me get some other stuff so I can check some stats. Stats are always great. Wow, we've got 12 people here. Welcome to, what did I call this show? The PhD late night show with me, maybe? I can't remember the title of my own show. This is fantastic. Here it is, the PhD late night show with Sam, guest. I got rid of your first name, so now you're just Harvey, apparently. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is... Oh. Isn't this what you want from my stream? If you refresh, you'll see the updated, corrected title. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is great. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. So, yes, my guest tonight is a good friend from my undergraduate at Royal Holloway, Tom Harvey, who is now doing a DPhil in theory, specialising in string theory at, if you didn't get by the word DPhil, the University of Oxford, that other place that we dare not speak of, but tonight we'll let it slide. I'm being told through my ears that yes, he did do his masters at Cambridge that I completely forgot somehow. He did his masters at DAMT doing, was it the MAST? Was that a specific one? The part 3 course? He's very smart. Oh, 100% professional. I guess I should bring my guest onto the stage right now. I'll give him a second when he's not taking a drink. Also, let me unmute Zoom so you can hear him. Okay.
Oh, so I was literally just an earpiece.
There we go. We're
here.
Here. Welcome. Say hello, Tom.
Hello. So I was literally just an earpiece. That whole point.
Yeah, you were just an earpiece. They couldn't hear you, but now hopefully they should hear you. Is everything okay, chat? God, this is so. Oh, what is going on? Yes, also known as Airsofter 4692. How would you say that name?
I think you just said it.
Okay, it's like that. Great. Without the exclamation mark, I know. I should first say that literally why everything is burning is apparently your internet is not working.
Yeah, apparently I'm not connected to the internet right now. I can't open any single website, but I'm in a Zoom call.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea. Everyone else in the building as well is also not connected to the internet. The only thing working is the Zoom call.
Yes, better quality than the host room, but that is because I'm in a dark room and Tom is in a nice room with lighting. I know, it's almost like I'm in student accommodation and that light is actually on. Fantastic. Oh, no, I broke it. Is that just going to turn off? Okay. Look at that. That should make it a bit better, though it will turn off at some stage. Like now. Perfect. Oh, thank you, Astro Procrastination. Fantastic name. I approve of that name. Thank you for the follow. I'm just stunned by how confused I am right now. I was saying, yeah, the internet apparently is not working, but we're in a Zoom call.
I literally have like the little error in the bottom right hand corner telling me I'm not connected to any internet, but we're here.
We are definitely here. Let's turn down this music because I think it's a bit loud. There we go. I think that's a bit better. We've got some big band jazz on currently to have the the atmosphere. Well, no, my Wi-Fi on par, perfect. This is
always. Or...
This is other place Wi-Fi. Well, not the other place. This is just another place.
Yeah, I'm currently in the other place. But...
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, how are you doing? What is your interesting drink that you have brought along with you?
It's not that interesting though. My drink.
I
No,
think it's
well.
somewhat interesting from what
I'm
you've
doing well.
told
No,
me already.
it's just it is a beer, but it's not like a standard beer you buy everywhere. It is a local beer, from up the road, which is also served in kind of all of Tom Kerridge's pubs, because all of his pubs are where I am right now.
That's very good. My drink. Oh, I should first say, is it like is it a lager? Is it a stout? Well, it's definitely not a stout, but does it have a fruity bouquet to it, or?
There's nothing fruity. It's
Okay.
quite. It's a kind of amber. It's an amber beer with a nice kind of
Okay.
IPA type thing going on.
Mm.
It's quite nice. It's just kind of a refreshing,
Yeah.
easy drinking beer.
Okay, that's that. You see, it's somewhat interesting. It's not, just a pint of Foster's or something.
No.
That would be
No.
uninteresting. Water, I accept water because some people have water. But yeah, it's not Foster's, it's not Heineken, it's not piss, basically, so it's fine. My drink, on the other hand, I'm quite proud of it. It is a nice gin, a limited edition gin, made for, what's his name? Michel Roux Jr. for his Le Gavroche restaurant in central London. It's a nice standard gin, but with French tastes, such as, what does that actually say? I don't know. Botanicals, hints of lavender. There we go. And I've got some Fever Tree tonic. It's very lovely. I like it. But I like gin. I don't know. Is it a nice beer? Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. Oh, I quite like it.
That is fantastic. I bought this gin, as I've told Tom before, but not chat. Well, I think I might have mentioned it in a previous stream. But I didn't buy this, it was a birthday present. And I've only opened it today because I wanted to wait until the pandemic was over. But I thought this was a special enough occasion to open it, because it's a special talk show that hopefully will be weekly. I'm not going to glug it, Toad. That would be against Twitch terms of service. A sensible drink now and again is fine. Glugging, how many milliliters is this? Glugging 70 centiliters just is not good. Or cocktail strength gin. Oh. But yeah, I should probably say what the, what do you call it? The structure, that's the word, of this show will be that we'll have our interesting drink to begin with, where my guests tell me about their interesting drink. We've done that. I then tell you about my interesting drink. We have done this. And the next parts will be where I will ask some set general questions about my guest's educational journey from primary school, from the youngest of times to the oldest of times of doing a PhD or wherever they are currently. And then after that, we will probably take a quick break because talking is tiring and thirsty. And then we'll take questions from the Discord, which, as Nightbot has kindly done already, has put the link to Discord. And so we'll take questions from there. And then after we've exhausted those, we'll take questions from Twitch chat, where you can use the Q&A channel point redeem thing. And I will see that and I will ask and answer. But yeah, I think that will be good. So, Tom. I know what I was going to ask, but now I've completely forgotten, which is, like, have you always been interested in like physics, theory, mathematics, like from like an early age in primary school, or was there like any like hints of what you wanted to do back then, or is it just a blur of crayons?
Primary.
Oh yeah, or primary school.
Lots of crayons. Primary school is a long time ago.
It is.
I remember I think I always enjoyed maths, and I actually probably more so for a long time kind of enjoyed kind of computer science and playing around with computers and stuff more so. I don't think I was particularly interested in physics for a long time. So there are a couple of points, I think, actually, in terms of when I started to become interested in physics. I've actually tried to find one of these. I've tried to find this since, and I've really struggled to. But there was a Horizon documentary when I must have been like 8 years old, which kind of spoke about quantum mechanics and general relativity, and then afterwards then spoke a little bit about string theory. I didn't understand any of it, but I wanted to understand it.
Yeah, I think I had similar things with like lots of the BBC documentaries like growing up. I think anyone in the UK has had like some influence from some part of it, either the Sky at Night, Horizon, probably now Brian Cox, which feels strange to say. I mean, I enjoyed Brian Cox. Like, I remember watching his quantum mechanics Christmas lecture.
I watched that as well. I watched that.
And I think that was like my first proper introduction to quantum. And I remember understanding none of it. Well, I think I understood some of it, but still, like, wave equations. Like, I was like, oh, okay, it's an equation for a wave. But that was it. Like, I didn't understand anything. And I remember getting the book and, like, but
there was just a random... Cool. As I got a bit older as well, there was a lot of YouTube videos in particular.
Yeah, I think that as well. Also, because I realised you get documentaries on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were lots of science communicator people as well now, which is great. Is there anything like else in like primary school? Did you have a teacher which said like, did they try and steer you in a direction that you didn't want, and then you were like no, or did that not really happen?
I don't think so. Not in primary school, no. I definitely had... I think a lot of teachers did steer me more towards mathematics. But I enjoyed mathematics. There wasn't so much of an issue. But I don't think... I mean, I don't think teachers in primary school steer people that much in terms of... they're teaching all the subjects so much.
Because I just remember if you were good at maths, they were like... It was just a binary science maths. And I feel like that's, I don't know, I feel like a constant thing in kind of moving to secondary school in that science always felt very separate to maths. They never felt, at least for me, I felt like there was never a intersection.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you there.
As much as there was in like university level. But no, I still like enjoyed the physics and stuff like. Well, actually, I hated physics in secondary school, but that's another story. But yeah, so did you like take that Horizon stuff and like just enjoy maths and?
I definitely. I enjoyed. I don't know. I think my dad was quite influential in terms of getting me interested in kind of maths and physics, because he's always been kind of interested at kind of a pop science level in particular. So his background's in computer science as well. So I think I actually was quite interested for a long time as well in kind of going down that route also.
Okay.
But then as I got older, I realized actually it was these kind of bigger questions I found more interesting in terms of physics and stuff. Yeah.
What were some of these bigger questions?
I don't know if it was necessarily questions. I just wanted to understand these things I was hearing about, in particular things like quantum mechanics and general relativity. I think general relativity was something in particular I really wanted to understand. I mean, up until at university, I thought cosmology was really what I wanted to do. Well, theoretical cosmology still then. But then I drifted away from that as time went on. But I still do some cosmology now, just not as much.
Okay. Like, I think I was the same with like, I didn't really have like big questions apart from, can I build a hyperdrive or something to get to and Star Trek across the galaxy or something. Realizing that might be a bit too much, but like understanding like specific things like black holes. Yeah. When I was like the concept of that people don't know something, and that sort of was really interesting for me, in that there are things that people don't know. And they're being discovered. I always thought that was quite cool. Or in secondary school specifically, like going on trips to the science museum. I don't know if you did that at all?
No, we
or
did as well. Yeah. I think it's a standard one. I mean, if you grow up kind of anywhere in the
Close to-
vicinity of London, then I think it's
Yeah.
kind of pretty standard you're going to go to. So,
Do you have a interesting exhibit or your favourite exhibit? Was it the rockets? Was it the big wheel in the centre?
I don't think I went there as much as you. As
Okay,
I don't remember the
I
exhibits
had
that much.
I had a sleepover in the science museum.
Oh,
which
bloody
was
hell!
good
What?
fun. Yeah,
That's
they
a
did
thing?
sleepovers. And I discovered many secret not corridors, like false walls that they had like storage behind, but it like moved people. So I like found a computer and I was sleeping underneath it, and it had like this square door, and it was slightly like open because it wasn't fitted properly. And I saw there's like a massive hall in there, but it was just empty. And I'm like, I could just go in there, but I was like, probably not. But that was like good fun, like doing those certain trips that sort of did stuff that wasn't on the curriculum, or just sort of come and chat. And I'm like, no, Toad, it was not a sleepover, and it was not a horror film about aliens. I mean, speaking about like that, I feel like for myself, films in secondary school were quite an important part. Like, were you a big sci-fi person?
I was definitely a big
growing
sci-fi
up?
person. Yeah. No, I watched a lot of. I mean, I think my parents introduced me to like Next Generation when I was like 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah.
So I definitely, sci-fi was definitely a big
Yeah.
thing. In particular, Next Generation. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Star Trek film or specific season or?
Probably not any of the films. Not Picard. That's the big one already. I'm ruling that out immediately. It's like
Picard
seasons.
wasn't too bad, but
I was not a fan. It started off okay, and then it just kind of, as each episode progressed, I just got more and more disillusioned by it, I think. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of good episodes in Next Generation. I think I'd struggle to choose a favorite or anything. Probably one with one with Q in it, or one with Loxana Troy, because if either of them appear in the episode, you know it's going to be funny.
Yeah, no, I agree
always
with
good.
that. I remember. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. I think did he lose his powers at one point, Q?
There's one where he becomes human. That's quite good.
Yeah, I think I quite enjoyed that one. I sort of not enjoyed, but I found it quite funny when I think it was Tashi Yar just died, and it was literally just that she's dead, and that was. Yeah, I know I'm turning into a ghost by the minute. Okay, let's quickly sort this. See if this fixes it. The lights. Actually, that is much better, but it's still not the best. But yeah, Tashiar just dying. I found that not funny, but just anticlimactic, I suppose.
It was quite sudden. I mean, I think that she just didn't want to be on the show anymore.
Yeah, I remember.
What happened.
Why am I wearing a suit?
Yeah, it's an excellent question for me as well. Though I feel very underdressed right now. I wasn't warned you were going to be wearing a suit.
Well, and as Tech says, yeah, because it's a late night show. Everyone wears a suit for late night shows. The guest doesn't have to wear a suit. They just seem to wear one sometimes, or a t-shirt. I mean, if you want, you could wear your gown, and maybe that would make you feel slightly.
Maybe if someone puts the gown, then we can both put gowns on.
Okay, if someone does that.
You're just waiting for someone now.
Yeah, we're just waiting. Is someone going to do it? I mean, I can always do it myself. Okay, there we go. Mamesta has redeemed gown time.
Okay, so we're both grabbing gowns.
If you want, we can both put on gowns.
Grab a gown.
This is what you want, chat. This is what you get. And as you will see, the Cambridge gown is far superior. No. Is far superior to the Oxford gown. I actually look like I'm going to a formal. You get double, I know, for one. This is fantastic. It's great, I know. Hello, I'm late to the show. That's a terrible pun, mister. You just... Oh.
Good. Hang on, I didn't realize it was muted. I was going to say, the Oxford one doesn't have arms, unlike yours. It just has these weird flappy things on the side.
I know,
no one's really ever sure.
I mean, I can try and imitate your one by putting my arms through the dinner.
Through the wrong hole, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not the wrong
However,
hole.
do you have one of these? I can't put it on during thingy. I don't know if you have the hat to go
only
with it.
PhDs get the mortarboard, which...
I see. No, because I have one. I can't wear it now because I got the headset, so I don't think it'll go well with that.
Oh, that would just... Oh. Yeah, I think in Cambridge, no one gets a hat until a PhD. Which is strange. I'm not sure why they didn't do mortarboards. Or any type of hat.
Probably because Oxford did. That's probably the reason.
That probably is why, because they're like, oh, Oxford have no arms. We will have all the arm. We'll have extra arm. I've heard great stories of how the master's gown, you can hide 2 bottles of wine or 1 bottle of wine in each arm, and sneak them into halls if they ask for corkage.
Wow.
But yeah, I prefer mine. Mine is much better. Chat is moving pretty fast. In Oxford, it's always dinner time because your arms are always free. I mean, Merton, what college are you at?
I'm at Balliol.
Balliol.
Yeah.
I think that has good food. I remember we talked about the quality of food at Oxford. And I was like, I wanted to go to Merton, and I was like, because of the food, and you're like, I wanted to go to Balliol, partly because of the food. Food is an important, you spend, I don't know how many hours eating food. You can't live without it, so it's I think an important thing. So yeah. What were we talking about? Apart from Tashiar dying.
I think we were just talking about sci-fi and then things that got
if anything was
in sci-fi.
influencing, because for me, the most influential thing I think was Men in Black 1. For some reason, that really inspired me to do astronomy, which was all to do with Orion's belt. For some reason, I was fixated on this thing, and it just, I don't know why, I couldn't stop thinking about it and about Orion, and started looking up and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not even the best film. I look back at it and I'm like, it's a funny film, but I don't know why it had such an important part of my life. As opposed to Lord of the Rings, which had a bigger impact, but not to do with science or anything.
Yeah, no, Lord of the Rings, I'm a massive Tolkien fan, so yeah.
Have you bought the new book, The Nature of Middle-earth?
I haven't yet, no. But
I saw it.
I will be doing so, yeah.
I saw it in the Waterstones, but it had a cut on it, and I was like, I can't buy this. It has to be pristine.
And I'm kind of unsure if I'd actually read it or not, because from the sound of it, it's quite...
academic type.
Yeah, it's very academic. There's an entire chapter on why certain characters do or don't have beards, and that's the whole thing.
Why is...
Yeah. So it turns out in the books, according to this is what I just heard people talking about this book online, Aragorn should not have a beard, very crucially, because he's got some elven heritage going through Numenor and things, and so apparently he cannot grow beards. Neither can any of the lords in Gondor. So Boromir shouldn't have a beard, Faramir shouldn't have a beard, and
so
Aragorn shouldn't have a
when you
beard.
shave someone's head off,
Yeah, I know.
Their head off, but their hair off. And they
Shave their head off. That's a very close shave.
I know, it's very too close, I would say. They look naked. I don't know if I would like that. If someone can Photoshop.
You're just so used to Viggo Mortensen. Is that what it is? The idea of shaving after him.
He is for me the icon of
Aragorn.
Like
so...
he played it so well. Does that mean also Gandalf should have no beard because he is?
Oh, he's a god. That's okay.
But they were all around the elves, so wouldn't they try and be the image of the elves?
I think he's described as having well, maybe when he was younger, because only they look like old men when they go across to Middle Earth and things. Yeah. That's the only time it changes. Until that point, they're not. Anyway, but this is becoming a rant.
Yeah, we're getting distracted.
I think that's not.
I was about to say that. But yeah, so I suppose. How did you find, I suppose, like GCSE physics and maths? Like, did you?
Maths I liked. I have to admit, I was not particularly. I don't think I was particularly academic at GCSE or anything. I just kind of just did what I had to do and just took exams, etc. I enjoyed maths. I kind of enjoyed physics, but not exceptionally so. But I was still enjoying. But yeah, well, actually, I kind of still knew I wanted to do physics because I knew physics in reality was much more mathematical.
Yeah.
Compared to what happens in the UK, where we seem to rip out all mathematics from physics
all the
as soon as we
interesting
can.
stuff and all the justification.
Yeah, it's all gone. But
yeah,
then I knew from kind of at that point, I was watching a lot of YouTube, in particular things like 60 Symbols and stuff, and Veritasium was another one I watched quite a lot of.
Okay.
But 60 Symbols, I remember watching that huge amount, so I knew what from them discussing it, I knew it was meant to be much more mathematical.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting.
I'm trying to think, because I knew that there was more maths, and I knew physics at university was definitely more interesting than it was made out to be.
I think there was one particular video by 60 Symbols where it's literally them just complaining about GCSE and A-level
I would like to watch
physics.
that. I have not seen that, but I definitely will now.
It's quite good. I remember that one, and that I found interesting.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, no, I definitely felt the same. Like, I enjoyed physics for the potential it had. Oh, that scared me. I saw a massive alert come on my stream, but it was just Captain Reed doing a Q&A thing.
Okay.
Which we will answer after the break, which we're making time. We're good. We're about halfway through your educational career, and we're about halfway through the segment, so it's going well. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, like, I knew there was more potential with physics, and I think I moved more to maths because I feel like I associated that more with physics than I did physics itself.
Yeah.
Because I did astronomy GCSE, which apparently you don't learn.
That's unusual. No, that's very unusual.
Yeah, it was one of the lucky things I got to do. It's called a Twilight GCSE, which felt even cooler for especially astronomy. I got an F in the coursework.
And now you're doing a PhD in astronomy.
Yeah, I do. It's because I did it a year early, so I had no idea what coursework, and the advice I was given was write what you think is right. And I'm like, sure, that means I can't be wrong. Apparently I can be wrong. Apparently there's more to light pollution than fuzzy images. And there's more to shadow sticks than sticking a stick in the ground and measuring it. That was literally my coursework. There was aided and unaided observation, which there was one which was in the eventuality you could observe supernovae. Just if that happened to coincide with your GCSE, you could do a supernova experiment. And it's like the chance of that happening is so small.
Very small.
Once in a century, but they're prepared for it. They've got a mark scheme ready. And I'm like, I love it. But yeah, what A-levels, moving further forward?
So A-levels, I did, I think it's changed now, how they exactly put it.
Yeah, no,
it used to be you choose four, you used to choose four and then take three forwards was the kind of standard thing. So the four I did was maths, physics, computing, computer science.
Okay.
And the last one, I had no idea what I wanted to choose. I had no idea. I couldn't do further maths, so I had to decide something else. I didn't like chemistry, I didn't like biology. And then when I was speaking to the people there at the sixth form college, they mentioned that actually one of the things, there's a lot of physics in geology. So I actually did AS geology, which was a massive mistake. Oh my god, I hated it. It was the most dry. The subject itself is quite interesting, but that A level is just, that was dire. That was so bad. Memorizing the different, what makes up the kind of the different atomic structures that make up different types of rock you can find in the ground was not what I thought I was signing up for when this was described to me. So that was a disaster. So I dropped that after the first year and then continued with maths, physics, and science.
You know, I did physics, maths, chemistry, and religious studies. But it was the philosophy one. So OCR basically consolidated every philosophy type thing from biblical studies, Quran studies, to ethics and philosophy of religion. So we did philosophy of religion and ethics. And that was pretty nice. It was quite fun compared to just doing sciencey stuff. but chemistry was a shudder every time I think of it. It was great fun. I loved the experiments, and I almost died in one because I got almost concentrated acid that was 70, like 80 degrees thrown at my face, but I managed to dodge.
I actually, maybe this was a bad sign for me in experiments. In GCSE, I badly injured myself in a physics experiment, actually.
Oh.
Badly. I managed to stab, I still got a scar on the side of my hand, a glass rod into the side of my hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
I still don't have full feeling in this hand, actually.
What? Oh, that is, I think, definitely.
A sign of experiments are not good for me. Is that
Yeah,
the sign?
I definitely think that is.
Yeah.
A sign of not doing experiments. I think I also, but yeah, for me, I always thought I wanted to do theory, and up until a third year or second year, I was always, I want to do GR, I want to know black holes, I want to prove spaceflight, whatever. And yeah, I hate experiments. I just could not do them. I had the thing of I almost melted a wire because I put too much current through it.
Oh my god.
But I stopped. We realised to not stop. But my teacher was like, we did have someone who made the wire catch fire because it was, I think it was 6 amps, maybe, or even higher. But 6 amps is like very hot. And then I did capacitors. Never blew a capacitor up though. I'm very proud of that. Yeah, did you have to? Oh, yeah, because you did physics A level. What did you have to do for your
the practical
practical?
thing. Yeah, so there were the 2 types of practical as well, and we did the one that was less usual. There were the ones marked by the teachers, and the ones marked externally. We just had to write everything in a booklet and it was sent off. And it was always quite interesting. I still remember. Most people didn't even know there were 2, but my teacher decided he wanted to do the other one. And we saw them. It was quite interesting seeing the mark scheme comparisons, and you see that teachers were maybe slightly more favourable on when it was marked by them, because it's like, requirement to get an A star, 100% on the paper. The one marked externally, requirement to get an A star, get 50% on the paper or something like this. And it was ridiculous, the difference on these. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But I think it wasn't that exciting. I think
I did.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I did. I blocked out my
No,
memory, though I did learn
didn't
air
enjoy it.
analysis
Oh.
pretty well, which is strange because it's basically what I did now, and it's what I was like known for in my masters was air analysis, and it's like always been there, despite me hating with a passion statistics.
But now, surely, what you do most of the time is probably statistics.
I know, I'm
isn't it?
fitting ellipses or ellipsi, whatever the shape plural is, and I love it, but I still have to say to myself, it's not statistics, I'm better than that. I don't know, I just say it's statistical data analysis, forgetting the statistics bit. But talking about that, what made you choose Royal Holloway for university? A few years.
So I think it was first. I hadn't heard of it. So, I mean, it was quite small for a long time. I think a friend of mine though, he was talking about universities he's applying to, and he mentioned this university he was looking at. So I looked it up, and they found out I did physics, and it looked like quite interesting. So I went there on open day, and then just kind of fell in love with it immediately.
Yeah.
I felt like the department were much more accommodating than some of the other open days I went to.
You know, I think I had somewhat similar in that I never heard of it until my brother did geography there before me. And I applied, and then I rejected them. I got in through clearing, which is why I went back on my thing. But yeah, no, I felt similar things in that I felt they were very wholesome department.
Yeah, that's the kind of impression I got.
Like, I was interviewed by Sordy, so I had a very wholesome interview.
No, I was interviewed by John Goff on my one, so it was still a really good interview.
Yeah, I enjoyed his lectures. They were always fun.
Yeah.
How did you find the transition between A levels and university then?
So I think I'm in the minority here, where I actually really enjoyed that. I think I enjoyed the fact that things were being proven, and that the maths I was learning was far more interesting as well. That was the other thing.
I think I am exactly the same in that.
Yeah.
I was.
But I think this is the minority.
Yeah.
I think this is very much the minority. for
Well,
most
I
people.
think I felt quite put at ease because they said the gap is, or the jump between A levels and first year isn't as much as you think it is, and that the bigger jump is between first and second year. And I felt that jump because I had extra tutorials for maths. Anna did some before lecture tutorials, and she made maths amazing. So, like, guessing I got 91, I think, in my first year maths. I know you probably got like 99 or something in that one.
The first term, I think I got 95 on that one. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I enjoyed how the mathematics or the physics was just, it felt more real because of the maths.
Yes. No. I agree.
There was
I
more
agree.
maths. The maths made sense, and it felt more tangible and stuff like that. Did you have give me your most interested first year module and your most hated first year module?
My favourite first year module was probably the maths courses, actually. Probably a mixture of the two. I'm not sure
They
exactly
weren't
which
too
one.
tedious for you.
No, they weren't too tedious for me. No.
You were taught by.
I was taught by Andrew
Yeah.
Ho, yes, so I do know that. I remember the joke. Yeah. But then there was also, I think I disliked at the time. I disliked Fields and Waves.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I went back and revised it, I liked it a lot more. But at the time, I hated it. But everyone hated that course when we were learning it.
Yeah, no one enjoyed that course.
No, I think it's
Apart
the fact
from-
that you'd only just learnt about really how to actually solve differential equations. And then you're basically just thrown into a course where all you're doing is solving differential equations. And no one really had any idea what they were doing because they'd only just been taught this. But then when it came to revision, then actually I quite liked it. And it made a lot more sense.
I just remember the bit that is just ingrained in my memory is there was a section of lecture notes which said refer to the lecture, and then in the lecture it said refer to the lecture notes, and then we brought this up and he was like, lecture notes. I'm like, it's no, we just gave up. But yeah, no, I think I disliked, it was either that or a classical matter. I just found that quite difficult. But yeah,
Classical matter as well. That was just very broad in the kind of stuff taught in terms of there was very basic fluid dynamics as well as very basic thermodynamics.
Yeah.
And kind of
I think the things that made first year modules hard was just the breadth that they covered.
Yeah.
And trying to think, like, I think I also enjoyed the maths just because they were taught so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose, and after first year there was second year. And why is maths or quantum your favourite module? How did you find second year in general?
Second year, I liked first term, which was unusual as well. I think everyone else I know hated first term.
First term was what? Quantum?
First term was quantum, Python, electromagnetism, and maths.
I'm now remembering why I disliked first term.
Yeah. I think the fact as well, I'd already learned I knew a lot of programming already.
Yeah.
And so it basically felt like I was really only taking 3.5 courses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was a big help
because
for my one. But then second term I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Second term I didn't like at all. But that's because everything in second term was very experimental. There wasn't really much theory there. Mm-hmm. There was the optics course, and then there was also a solid state
labs
course.
were completely different in second year, weren't they?
Yeah, it was connected to each of the courses and stuff. But then it was the fact that we had optics, we had the atomic and nuclear course, we had
that was
solid state,
rough course.
And and all three of those were basically all just you set up. It was just a description of this is how we know this thing by this measurement of this stuff, and it was just I got very exhausted.
We also had our first 9 a.m. lecture, I think, with
same here,
atomic and nuclear,
with Etienne.
Etienne would come in from Paris the morning of the lecture or whatever. I can't believe he did that.
People might think you're joking there. No, this lecturer did actually live in France for the weekend and then would come in to teach during the week.
Yeah. I think all the French academics and PhDs literally lived in Paris or France and actually commuted in. Because I think there was one called Xavier who does stuff actually similar to Cat, in that he does quantum bouncy stuff. I can't remember the name of it, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. But he did similar stuff to that, and he came in from Paris. But yeah, so strange. But yeah, I remember the labs were pretty. Yeah, I think you either love labs or you either hate labs. I don't think there is a middle ground.
No, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. I don't think anyone really enjoys undergraduate labs.
No,
I think we had like die-hard experimentalists, like academic experimentalists, who still say I hated undergraduate labs at university. I think it's hard too. But it's actually quite good. So like my lab partner was Sam T.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So that was very good in terms of he is a much more hands-on kind of guy, and I was happy to do I was much more happy to do the data analysis.
Mm-hmm.
There was one particularly difficult experiment, which was apparently then told to the year below by the academics. I don't know if you were told this, but it was the one with the it was some kind of spectral analysis thing, and you had some kind of, you were like putting light through some. You had some kind of.
Was it the one with the telescope, or was it the one with the clicking, the piezo? Was it an optics lab, or was it an was it a atomic and nuclear lab?
So this was a first year lab, what I'm talking about now. But it was looking at kind of emission lines of some lamp that you had. And so you put the light then through some machine, you have to turn around and measure off the angle in which it was being the light was being deflected by. And we had a big problem though, which was that when I didn't wear my glasses, I couldn't see well enough through the thing to actually measure when I was focused on the line. And I couldn't actually get close enough with my glasses on. And at the same time, T is colorblind.
Oh,
so
I
we had to see what the
story.
Yeah, we had to see the color of it to work out what it was.
Yeah, I had the same issue because red and green are literally together, and you're like, oh, it's a struggle.
Are you colorblind as well, then? Yeah. You're colorblind as well, then?
Yeah, I'm horrifically colorblind. Apparently, I score the lowest on every colorblind you can get, which people never cease to make fun of, and send me images of things, and it's like when you decode it by putting filters on, it's like, if you can read this, you're not colorblind, or you are colorblind if you can't read this, or something like that.
You'll be happy to know on my recent paper, I'm unlike everyone else working on it. I was very adamant to make sure that there was a plot that had lots of colors, that the colors were chosen to be colorblind friendly. I'd be very happy.
I don't mind the color. Actually, once I do, it's when you get red lines and green lines, but yeah, that's why I always go with Dodger blue and crimson, because those are the two best colors. I'm conscious of the time, so I suppose we can quickly
quickly wrap up
third year to fourth year, basically building up to what you wanted to do for your PhD and how that informed.
So going into third year, I was far more interested in cosmology. Still, I was way more interested in cosmology. It wasn't really until I started to learn more about quantum mechanics I realized actually, no, this is way cooler. But I learned GR and I enjoyed GR, and for a long time I was quite interested in kind of particle cosmology and particle astrophysics and this kind of thing, but still also from theory point of view. And so in my last year then as well, in the third year and fourth year, I took kind of appropriate modules to that. And in fourth year in particular, then I took quantum field theory courses and I took more general relativity courses. And did projects on. I did two projects then. I did the kind of research review thing on black hole physics.
Okay.
Specifically kind of Hawking radiation and other processes that are important for kind of particle physics near black holes. And I also did another one on modern methods for computing loop integrals, which is a very technical thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really mean much to many people. But essentially, you have these Feynman diagrams, and as soon as you have a loop appearing in one, this is already pretty hard to calculate as soon as you have a loop. But if you try and naively calculate it as well, you get infinity.
Is this the renormalization stuff?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be much more careful about how you do it. And so what you do is you regularize your integral. So in some way. So the standard way is kind of a bit weird. It's called dimensional regularization, which is where you take you pretend you're in d dimensions.
Okay.
That's what you do. You pretend you're in d dimensions the entire time, and you find there is only a singularity when d goes to 4. So 3 space and 1 time at the end of it, when you compute it all like this the whole time.
Okay.
But what you do is you complete the whole calculation, and by essentially moving things around, and when you calculate the entire process, things cancel out nicely, and you're left with a nice, well-defined answer.
Okay.
The infinities cancel out when you regularize them. Is essentially what it is.
Infinities always cancel out.
Yeah, infinity minus infinity equals finite, right? That's how it works. Yeah, no. It says you have to regularize it in a consistent way.
I know what you mean. I know some broad brushstrokes from particle physics course before it was all swept under the rug.
But then, so that's kind of what I did then for that. But I was looking at modern methods of this, and there's all sorts of ways you can speed up the calculations. Yeah.
Okay.
And so then,
did that inform like looking at Cambridge for your? I should first say, why did you do a master's rather than a PhD when you had already done a master's?
So this is the UK being annoying is essentially the reason why. So if you essentially, especially if you look internationally, the integrated masters things internationally, people have no idea what this thing is you're approaching them with. That's one thing that I had as an issue to begin with.
Yeah.
And the second problem I had is if you're interested in theoretical physics, in particular more formal theoretical physics, you really need to do a one-year master's. Yeah. It's a very competitive area. You don't really learn something in a general MSci. You don't learn enough in a general MSci. And so there are several kind of much more specialized courses you can do across the country, just single-year masters.
Yeah.
In particular, the most famous one of them, I'd say, is Part 3 Maths at Cambridge. There's the theoretical physics course there. There's another one at Oxford, MMath Phys. There's an Imperial one. There's one at King's. There's one at Durham. They're all over the place. But then, so I went and did this one at Cambridge then afterwards. It's just 1 year masters.
The best university.
Yeah, well, we can debate that later if you want. But I did that course. Yeah.
So, what was the structure of that? Was that just lectures and exams, or was there a project involved? Or
so I think the structure could be best described as brutal. I think is the best.
I know
the best
it is brutal, but I don't think chat knows how brutal.
No, it's very brutal. It's very, very brutal. It kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any way you can prepare yourself for how much things step up from that. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe it's not that surprising, because I think at the end of the day, the course consists of about a third of the people there were people who were who did very well at Cambridge. It was in Cambridge Maths. There's a large portion of them, and everyone else there were either top or near top of their undergraduate. And you've put all these people in the same place.
I can already imagine.
It's hyper competitive as well. Everyone's kind of competitive against each other, and it becomes it's not a great work environment.
Because there's only like a handful of PhDs at Damped for.
Exactly. So they also then do this horrible exam after Christmas, which is way harder than the final exams too, which is then for the PhD slots. It's quite brutal.
I've heard horror stories of the master. Is it master or is it just MAST? I never know.
MAST.
Okay, it's just
a Master of Advanced Studies, which sounds so pretentious, but it's Master of Advanced
you do
Studies.
go through your basic ER and a Master of Advanced Studies, so I feel it's pretty apt.
But then there I did more courses on quantum field theory and general relativity, and I also got introduced to string theory, which is why I then actually became more interested in that. But I also started a project, but it's not a requirement. So you're asking about that. So I started a project with the famous, or everyone who reads the lecture notes, with David Tong. I started a project with him on something called higher form symmetries. So it's a very mathematical aspect of field theories, about how can I describe this in a way that's nice. So you have these things you have Noether's theorem, people may have heard of, which is for every symmetry of your theory, you have a conserved quantity. But in the process of getting to that conserved quantity, you also have something called a Noether current. And this is a 4 vector. So it's a vector in 3+1 dimensional space-time. Okay? And this is what you can call, from the differential geometry point of view, a 1 form. But it's possible, actually, and people didn't realize it until recently, you can have symmetries where the Noether current is not a 1 form, but actually has more indices. So people who know maybe about tensors, you can kind of think about it as a, once you've chosen the basis, you think about it as like an all lower index tensor where everything is anti-symmetric with everything. Once you've chosen the basis,
Okay, that's interesting.
But I didn't finish it for reasons of COVID. Is the reason, and so suddenly it became less. Yeah.
Oh, it's always, yeah. That was. I was lucky that I managed to finish my project at Christmas. But then we did like so many further stuff to extend it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it shunted many people's plans. So did that at all like inform like going to Oxford rather than Cambridge, or was it like the competitiveness, or was there a particular academic that you just
Well, I mean,
to be there?
if you're interested in theoretical physics, you have to apply everywhere as well. That's another thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to apply absolutely everywhere, just because there's so few PhD positions compared. It's the same reason why these masters exist at all, is because there's so few places compared to people applying.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to get the position. And it's also so it's why these masters exist as well. So basically, they can be even more stringent on who can get the positions. And then so that I applied everywhere. Then when it came to applying for PhDs, including Oxford, but Oxford was definitely my top choice. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Sam.
No,
Cambridge was not my top choice.
What was my top choice before Cambridge? It was also Oxford.
So it was Oxford. So Oxford was your top choice.
Yeah, remember I was saying this. I loved Oxford.
Oh yes.
And I wanted to go to Merton. And
then Oxford then turned you down, didn't they?
Yeah,
and
they
then
were
we went
like,
to Cambridge
sorry,
instead.
We don't want you. Even after they were like, hey, you should really do this project with this specific thing, and they organised another whole thing for me, and I was like, this seems like good ideas. And this was after a certain academic who was head of school was like, no, Cambridge they're not accepting you. Or no, I can't remember. It was you know who it was.
It was all very complicated.
Yeah, and but then slowly, eventually, I got a thing from Cambridge, and I realised I quite like Cambridge. And who knew that it was going to be it was always going to be open despite the pandemic, so that made it even nicer. So I suppose we can get now on to how is the PhD? Before that, what is your PhD?
So, my PhD is in a subject called string phenomenology, which is kind of the study of trying to relate string theory to both cosmology and particle physics, which is, well, it's pretty hard for a number of reasons. One is that we're in the wrong number of dimensions. In terms of string theory likes 10 dimensions, or its kind of big brother M theory likes 11 dimensions, and we're living in 4. So you have to hide away those extra dimensions somehow. Yeah. And so it's I think a better description for string phenomenology is actually string compactifications, because when people hear phenomenology, people then kind of think closer to experiment, or they think
it's all about like the physical aspects of something.
But string phenomenology is not necessarily like that. There are people in string phenomenology that really do pretty formal mathematics. I mean, because I do a lot of algebraic geometry, for example.
Yes, I've seen you in my streams with all your funky words and your terrifying
Calabi-Yau manifolds.
Yeah,
is that the one?
I still can't say it.
It's just two people's names.
I know, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And the music of a manifold.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember how that works now, but it's to do with how it intersects as you're moving through what's called modulo space. Yeah. But then, so essentially, there's a few things I work on with this. There are some that are kind of very pen and paper type calculations, or more likely blackboard calculations most of the time.
Do you work on a blackboard?
I do work on a blackboard. There's a blackboard here.
I know. I can see. But I'm very proud of that.
But there's also a big blackboard in my office, which is why I spend more time on.
Yeah. Do you use any special chalk?
I do. Yeah, I have a lot of Hagrometric chalk. Yeah,
very good.
It's brilliant. Yeah. But then there's also there are other things I do. I don't really do simulations and anything like that. But there are certain computational tools that are very useful. In particular, I'm saying about this compactification. Essentially, every way you compactify string theory, eventually your 4D theory will look different. You'll end up with different particles and different interactions depending on how you compactify it. And so it's kind of a task of the description is often called geometrically engineer the standard model.
Okay, I think.
So try and choose your 6-dimensional space such that your resulting theory looks like the standard model. Yeah. But there's a huge amount of space you could go through for this. In terms of there are so looking at the algebraic approach again, this algebraic geometry approach, there are what are called, there's around about 7,000 complete intersection Calabi-Yau manifolds. What that means doesn't matter so much. It's just that they're easy to compute with. That's the important point. But within those 7,000, you then also have to choose what's going on with other things. You end up with 10 to some ridiculous number of possible compactifications you can choose. So you can't scan it. If you were to scan it, it would take many, many tens and thousands or thousands of times like the universe.
Problem.
You can't. Yeah. So one thing I've been interested in is, and I've got a couple of papers in now, is choosing a particular corner of your string landscape where things are very nice and easy to compute. In terms of actually getting to the equations is hard, and that's actually probably the more interesting bit in a sense. But the final equations you're left with is basically just playing around with integers. And then when they satisfy certain requirements, then you can work your way back up, and this corresponds to a nice solution of string theory that looks like the standard model, or sensible extensions thereof. And actually then these spaces, when they have like 10 to the 20 states, which would still take more than the lifetime of the universe to scan over, but you can search it to find the suitable ones by using things like reinforcement learning. Where essentially you put an agent randomly in the space and it wanders around and tries to find the terminal states. And it does this better and better each time, and you get a bigger and bigger list of possible standard models coming from your things. That's something I've been working on, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I would ask more, but I am not the most educated in theory. I suppose, would you say like the masters was probably the main thing that prepared you for this, or?
Oh yeah, I would have been. I did not appreciate the year before how underprepared I would have been for doing.
I think I was the same with theory, because as I said, I did enjoy theory, and I thought I was going to do something with black holes, for my PhD or something. And maybe it was in my masters. I remember choosing modules for it, and the head of department at the time, who then became head of school, was like, "No, Sam, or he was like, "What's your maths at?" And I said the grades I got, and he was like, "No, you will not enjoy theory. It's not what you think it is. It's all of these things." And I was like, "Okay, I will not do this." And it was actually like a few days after that conversation, I was like, yeah, I don't actually appreciate what proper theory is, because you don't get proper theory until
you don't which is why again these courses exist. It's because the level of maths you need is not, you're not taught it in a physics degree, at least not in the UK. Internationally they make physics degrees a lot more mathematical, but in the UK we're not taught enough maths, like in terms of, I don't know, it seems weird to me looking back now that I didn't even know real analysis or anything like this. In terms of physicists are not taught this, but you need it. You need this kind of thing.
That's something I would just associate with maths, like
or topology as well. Topology is something that is so useful, and basic topology, point set topology. If you just say topology to physicists, they're like, "Oh, this is a scary pure maths thing." But point set topology, I think you should know it, because it just makes it makes so many other things make so much more sense. And that's not point set topology. The kind of basic topology is not actually that tricky. Just about open sets and spaces, and then things like this. It's not too bad.
Because this is actually just directly related, and I was actually thinking about this. Kat does maths, who's another education student, did say, "Do you think you would have been better prepared with a maths degree than your PhD field?" Because I was going to ask this because,
as in, would maths have prepared me better for a PhD?
Yeah, so if you did a maths PhD rather than a physics PhD, would that have helped more? Because I was thinking of, like in the 60s, like Penrose, Hawking time.
Hawking did study physics, though. That's worth noting. But there is a caveat, I will say. I feel as though maths would have helped me more, but I did a physics degree. You might find, if you ask someone who came into my subject having done a maths degree, they'll be like, "Oh my god, I wish I'd done a physics degree. I would have known X, Y, and Z." And so it's hard to tell exactly.
I think so. There was one person in my year who did maths and wanted to go into that, and just realised at least with their maths course, they had no physics introductions or anything. Even the quantum was just purely mathematical. And so they wanted more physics. I guess it is just, you want what you don't have. Or you appreciate what you don't have. And stuff like that. Okay. I'm looking at the time, conscious. But I think we got through your whole educational CV catalogue, whatever we would call it. And And yeah, we'll have a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll literally go through all the questions. We'll start with the Discord ones because there were some good ones, and I think there might be some overlap, but and then we'll go through all of the ramblings of Twitch chat, which there are many. But yeah, we'll have a quick break,
Okay.
and then we'll continue with the second half.
All right.
Okay. What to say? Thank you.
Yeah. See everyone in 5 minutes.
Yes. Okay. And we are back. Hello, welcome to this stream. How's everyone enjoying it so far? I have seen a plethora of Q&As from people, which is great. That's the point of it, and it is working much better than I thought. I am sorry for the lag. I need that as now like a command thing. But how have you been finding tonight, Tom?
Yeah, it's been good fun. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's good. I've been enjoying interviewing you. As we were saying like beforehand, it's been 2 years since we've actually properly spoken to each other or something.
Yeah. Rather than just messages or something.
Yeah, rather than the occasional message of, "Are you Samwise 24th?"
Yeah, that was the one. I remember that realization watching Simon's stream. Yeah.
But it was the fact we've had conversations as our own people, like
as our own personas, and not realizing we actually knew each other in real life. But the thing was, I was actually talking then. So then, well, Sam also knows because also at the undergraduate, my girlfriend Sarah, she's also watches Simon's streams, and I actually, when we found out that then the Samwise was doing a PhD in astrophysics at Cambridge, we were just like. Maybe it's Sam. I don't know. It makes sense if it's Sam. And we were umming and ahhing. But we decided in the end it couldn't be Sam because he spends far too much money on donations. I don't imagine so.
Shifts uncomfortably in his seat. It's coffee money. I had a coffee problem, and COVID reduced that. I know, I literally did. Like, I would spend so much because just campuses, cafes, the boiler house, literally being able to stroll 10 seconds and the coffee is there. That I spent so much money in that cafe. And now, yes, I do have a donation problem, but I haven't donated much. Like, it was when TTS was £3, okay?
I think what made me realise exactly is I think you happened to mention chat at one point, Royal Holloway. And then it was oh my god, it has to be spam. And that's when I messaged you saying, "Are you Samwise?"
We were chatting about Cambridge at one point.
Yeah.
And we both agreed of. We were I think we were both talking about quantum and how we learnt it, and we both were like agreeing with, you learn it this way, unknowingly talking about Ho's lecture and other things. I think it was because I mentioned Royal Holloway in
that was
either
the click.
Dono or in chat. That was that was interesting. And now here we are. We're now on our own Twitch.
Well, your own Twitch.
Yeah, I do have TTS set up for donors as well, Cat. I know. Did you see the startup screen featuring TTS Brian? And Russell for bits. Russell is an Australian. What are we doing? But yeah, the second part of this strange show is now going to be dictated by you, chat. So as I said, is your internet working? I should say.
It still says it's not working.
Okay, let's not question it. Let's not think about it.
Let's just, the more I question
it, the more
it will stop.
Maybe it will collapse into actually not working. So
I literally, if I open up an internet browser, I cannot load any website. But I'm talking to you. I don't know how.
You can see this, but apparently that was me for 1 second.
I can't see that, no.
I am a ghost, apparently. I am enjoying that. I'm also enjoying that Cat does have me on what looks like a TV or just a big computer monitor. I approve of this. Okay, let's scroll to the top. Do you not have 4G or?
I do actually. I could do that if it's on Discord or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Discord questions first. So, yes, this is done by you. And if you're not part of the Discord, I will do exclamation Discord for you.
The perfect amount of light, yeah.
Look, it's a work in progress. Anyway, so we're taking questions first from the late night show from Sam, and then we're going to take questions from from the not bits, the channel point redeems. So first question, Tom, is why is astrophysics so much better than theoretical physics?
It's the question from inversion,
yes,
isn't it?
Inversion does. It's focused, specialising in astro, and does its own Twitch streams on astro.
Yeah. No, so first thing I'd say is it's not. But then the other thing I'd say is this is not necessarily mutually exclusive as well.
Yeah.
There are people who work in astro theory. I mean, I don't. Well, as I said before, actually, I do some cosmology.
Yeah, I suppose we never mentioned it, but our university, Royal Holloway, didn't do any astro sort of.
No, they did like kind of Pascal astro stuff
Yeah.
and things like this. That was it, really.
The theory we were introduced to were CERN, particle physics theory, power.
There were a lot of condensed matter theory people.
Oh yeah,
there's quite a lot of condensed matter theory.
Yeah, but I always forget about them because they were always in the basement. So they were literally basement dweller goblins that you never saw.
Yeah. No, to answer Inversion's question, it's not. But then it's not. Yeah, it's not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Everyone will have their own I was about to say fetish, but that's really not a word I should use for enjoyment of certain subjects. Everyone has their own fancy. There we go.
I was saying how I do some cosmology. Does cosmology count as astrophysics?
Yeah, I would
days?
say so.
It's a bit. I don't know. I think it's a bit complicated. It's kind of interdisciplinary almost.
Yeah, it doesn't. It fits in many subjects. It's particle, or it can have many. You can focus on different parts in cosmology. It's too broad.
I think I'd probably count it as almost its own thing.
I think
very interdisciplinary.
Yeah, I think modern cosmology is very its own thing now. It isn't just the CMB. It's much more. This is actually an important question because I think most people, including myself. I mean, you sort of tried to do it, but I suppose we can get like the explain to me like I'm 5, because I'm not a theory person. Can you explain what you were doing as simply as possible? Okay,
so there are 2 fundamental theories that kind of make up what we've observed so far, which is general relativity, which describes the very big, and gravity. And we also have the standard model of particle physics, which is a quantum field theory, which describes the very, very small. And these 2 things don't like each other very much. Yeah. In particular, if you try and write them in the same language, everything goes wrong. And so there are multiple ways people have tried to address this. And the kind of prominent theory, in terms of there are others, but then there's other kind of complications there as well.
Others.
There are many others, but most of them, actually, I think string theory is pretty unique in terms of the ones that aren't made by slightly crazy people and actually aren't maybe as well developed as they like to say they are. Is the only one that kind of covers everything. In terms of things like loop quantum gravity, only covers gravity. It doesn't explain what happens to where the other forces come from. And even then, it's still significantly less developed than string theory. It's not actually obvious that there's an appropriate limit to get gravity from loop quantum gravity, which I would say, if that happened, then I might find it more interesting. But as it stands, that's a bit of a problem for me personally.
Yeah, so basically...
But I work in one of these theories called string theory.
Yeah, so it's basically, there is just a fundamental problem with physics in that the 2 main theories just do not work together. Yeah. And string theory is just a thing that will hope to try and glue them together.
Well, no, it does glue them together. Well, that's a crucial point to mention, which I think people don't appreciate.
I'm coming from my experimental background in that. Where's your experimental data?
Okay, no, this is true. Okay, yeah. So the problem is there is a scale problem. There is a massive scale problem, which is the later question. Someone asked the size of the string, so I'll wait off to say how severe the scale is. But there is a scale problem actually measuring the specific differences you'd expect from string theory. That is a significant scale problem. But fundamentally, if you say, I have a universe that has vibrating strings, you automatically, that's quantum mechanical, you automatically have to have general relativity plus stringy corrections and have to have all the fields you have that you know from the standard model plus stringy corrections. That has to be there. There is no way around it. That's really why people are so interested in it. So that's a fundamental point.
And I suppose that this will in a way relate to it because I'm like moving a question around. It's a question as a meme question, but it's not really a meme question, which is what is quantum field theory exactly? And I know you said you don't want to answer.
Well,
but
I can answer. I can try and answer.
Well,
it. Go
first,
ahead.
before that, maybe explain what a wave is. Somewhat.
What a wave is.
Or no,
Okay,
so a
well,
field.
this is
What is a field?
Okay.
Because you've mentioned these things, and I know
Okay.
some people have
So-
no physics background,
Yeah.
and so
So, okay, yeah. So literally taken. I'll begin with that. So literally, and I'll then go into what the definition of a field
Yeah.
is. But literally taken, quantum field theory is a quantum theory. So it's the quantum theory of fields. Literally taken. I'll explain more what this means.
Yeah.
So a field is a function in terms of its input is a point in space-time, and its output is a number or a vector, or if you're looking at fermions, something a bit weirder called Grassmann numbers, but that doesn't matter.
okay. Yep, that has gone over
too
my
much.
head.
It basically just means that they have weird algebraic properties.
Yeah.
In particular, if you have a times b,
Mhm.
Grassmann numbers, that'll be equal to minus b times a.
Okay.
So they have very strange
Mhm.
properties, but that's the kind of values that these spinor fields take.
Okay.
And that you can choose any kind of thing. So there's all sorts of choices. Or actually, fundamentally, generativity is a field theory. Generativity, your field is the metric.
Yeah.
So it describes what means by length and distance at each point in space-time. And so you can write down a field theory that describes generativity called the Einstein-Hilbert action.
Mhm.
It's the kind of thing there.
Yeah.
Then what is quantum field theory? This is a controversial kind of question. I'll give you the bad answer first, which is
Okay.
what people say, which is that quantum field theory is special relativity plus quantum mechanics.
Yeah, that's how
Which
I
is a
usually
terrible
think
answer.
of it.
But it's a terrible, terrible answer. And it's a terrible answer for several reasons. One, you can do relativistic quantum mechanics
Yeah.
without field theory.
Mhm.
And secondly, you can do field theories that do not satisfy special relativity.
Mhm.
In particular, condensed matter physicists use field theory all the time. But they don't look at it where it satisfies special relativity.
Yeah.
I think a
Okay,
better
yeah.
description will be quantum field theory is a quantum theory where your fundamental operators, these kind of the kind of things that make it up, depend on coordinates.
Mhm.
That's probably a better way of describing it. Which means, from that definition, that quantum mechanics is a one-dimensional quantum field theory
Okay.
because your operators are the position and momentum operators,
Okay.
and they depend on time only, which is unidimensional.
Okay.
That's probably the best definition.
Yeah, I think it's a question that is much like a black hole in that it will just keep going,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you never
because
know when it will stop.
yeah, and some people often define quantum field theory in terms of sort of a process called quantization, which is also bad because there are basically you take some classical field theory and some action or whatever,
Mhm.
and you then quantize
Actions.
this. Yeah, and then you quantize this
Yeah.
in some way to make it into a quantum theory. But we know there exist quantum field theories that don't have an action until they don't have a classical limit. They are purely quantum things that you can write down on paper, which is kind of a weird idea as well. But these objects exist mathematically, and these are still quantum field theories but don't have an action.
Mhm.
So you can't define it this way either.
Yeah.
So it's all a bit weird.
I think
it's a very hard
that
question.
is a good question.
It's a very good question. Slightly
It's a very
too good
hard
question. Yeah.
It's always the simplest questions are the hardest questions. Let's see, what is going back? Why is it that you can pull a string but not push a string? But that's just you can push a string, but
Just have fun with it. Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Well, the answer is when you pull it, you kind of have. How do I describe this now? When you're putting tension on this, you're putting some tension or compression on the string.
Mhm.
Okay, but when you're pulling it and giving some tension, you kind of defined the direction that it's going to stretch in. The direction the force is
Yeah.
going to be along the string. When you push it, any slight deviation from it
yeah, it's gonna go in that direction.
is going to go in that direction instead because it's not rigid.
That's that one. Okay, I think this is a proper question from Kamikaze, which is, why does QFT string theory or anything in modern physics use different notation for mathematics? For example, ket notation for vectors. I think you saw this one.
Yeah, I did see this one. So I was
you think-
intrigued if they were a physicist or a mathematician.
I'll
Yeah.
finish it, which is, do you
Yeah.
think since it makes it look more complicated, it is not as popular as it deserves?
So I think there are two ways of interpreting that question. which is why is it using different notation to begin with, and why are we still using different notation, which are two different ways of looking at it. I think the reason why it's different notation to begin with is that sometimes, at least this is sometimes the case, not always the case, is that sometimes so sometimes the physicists have discovered the structure without knowing it's already been discovered by mathematicians. That's sometimes the case, and so end up going with their own notation.
Yeah.
And then the why after that is that why people still use it is because that's how they were taught it by their previous person.
It's just habit and tradition in essence.
Yes. For the case of like Dirac notation and like with Ketz and things, as they're saying there, this isn't quite the same in terms of Dirac very much knew the mathematics.
Yeah,
why he did that, I've kind of been curious as well about this. If you don't like it, you can read Weinberg's book, because he does not use Dirac notation at all. He uses more traditional vector notation the whole way through.
And
yes, lots of integrals.
Too scary.
Oh
wow, someone just gifted a sub. Thank you for that.
Oh.
It's I think I preferred bracket notation. Just I don't know, because it.
I think I don't know. I'm kind of, I think it's very good in that it's very hard to write something wrong when you do it. That's the main reason I think it's used, in terms of once you know the rules, you can easily start writing things down very quickly. But yeah, there is a level of not being so accessible to people else who didn't learn linear algebra through quantum mechanics. It's really what it is.
Yeah. Because I suppose that's another thing, and at least with us, when we learned quantum, we were learning it alongside a maths course and stuff like that. Yeah. And so, it was sort of part and parcel. You didn't have to go separately and learn it in the back of a library or something.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate that, and I don't really have a good answer though to why we do things differently. I mean, there's some things that are just definition, which
I
isn't
suppose
so
it's just
bad,
the nature of education itself. People. One person learns it one way, and it's. I suppose just historically there hasn't been as much cross dialogue between fields.
They're saying that I'm not really sure. I can't really think of another example except Dirac notation.
Yeah,
I'm struggling.
Yeah,
there are
I
some
think
which
Dirac
are mild.
notation is just the most overt.
It's the most obvious one.
one.
Yeah. There are other ones that are kind of minor, such as like definition of a Lie algebra is different to physicists and mathematicians by a factor of I. That's one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go into what is a Lie algebra, because this will just go into tangents of why I don't like group theory and why you love
what they are.
group theory.
You just answer what they are. Literally, they're tangent vectors. There you go. You said they're going on to tangents.
Oh
Lie algebra is a
no,
tangent vectors.
I've become what I hated. Okay.
But anyway, beside that.
Next one.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
Do you know how long a piece of string is?
So a fundamental string. This is the one I was just saying about.
Okay, you're
about
taking
scales.
this one seriously.
Yeah. I am. So in terms of distance, it's 10 to the minus 35 meters, roughly. So to give a better idea, though, of how small this is, let's look at this in terms of energy needed to detect them. And this is why I was saying this is actually a serious problem. And it'll be the same with any theory of
35 is
small.
What I know is.
Well, an atom is 10 to the minus 10.
Yeah.
That's
but I'm thinking of a certain constant that's minus 33.
Yeah, well, that's only in our units, though, so you can easily set that to be 1 in terms of that. That's just how you define the units.
Okay.
So that's not such a that's not so crucial. But no, to give you an idea of how hard these are to detect them, or any quantum gravity would be to detect, if you go through just kind of dimensional analysis, rough back of the envelope arguments, you'd say this: if I wanted to collide atoms, to infer that fundamental strings exist, or any theory of quantum gravity exists, so what one it is, this would be as tricky as colliding solar systems, and from the information from the data you collect from it, inferring everything's made of atoms.
Okay. Yeah. That would be pretty hard.
Yes, it would be, and this is why there's no hope using particle detectors, really, particle accelerators to detect quantum gravity. It's not going to happen. The best answer would be using things like inflationary theories and looking at the CMB.
So what, indirect evidence for it?
Yeah. Well, no, the CMB is pretty direct, to be honest, in terms of it's literally frozen in from the early moments of the universe and this kind of thing. It's quite,
So there might
Just
be
using
something.
using the whole universe as a path accelerator. That's the difference there. I actually quite like. Have you ever read First 3 Minutes by?
I've seen it. I've never read it. I've been meaning to, but I know it's supposed to be pretty good.
I think it's in that book, and then at the end of the first 3 minutes, at the end, he reaches the end of the book, and then he then says something along the lines of just like, and then nothing of note happened in the universe since. Or
Yeah,
something
no,
like
I know
this.
that
How
quote.
he
I do
ends
know
it,
that.
yeah.
Okay. What is the next one? So this is an admissions type question because I know a few people are like university either at some point. So, an Oxford PhD, do you feel admissions related question? I have a 4-year bachelor's degree in engineering physics from a very reputed institute and no master's degree. I did have master's offers, but I decided to take this year off. And now I wish to apply directly for a PhD. And if the PhD in astrophysics at Oxford doesn't particularly require a master's degree, so how ambitious will it be, and what should I think about before applying, given I'm an international applicant, not from the UK or EU?
I mean, the last bit I don't think I can really help too much about, because I mean, I was a UK student. I think the best thing to do is probably to contact people there and then see what they say.
Yeah, specifically the admissions tutors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think this is probably a good idea for that kind of thing. Without a master's, it really depends on your particular situation. I know of one person who got a PhD position without a master's, but the context, and this is why, actually, that's a good point. There's a reason they don't list requiring a master's as on most of the websites, and this is more of a, in practice, you kind of do, I think, is the unfortunate answer there.
Yeah.
But they say you don't need it, so that if you have been working in industry or something that's very related. So the example I know of was someone who's now working in astrophysics. They spent a couple years before getting the PhD position working in said university in the instrumentation groups and the astronomy groups. So they were essentially building up this same kind of knowledge in another way.
Yeah.
So I think practically it may not say you need a master's, but I think unfortunately you kind of probably
you have to look at your own situation about what skills you have and whether that is on par with those applying. So I suppose not similar, but I know with applying to Cambridge or for the Institute of Astronomy, I knew I had no traditional astronomy background because we didn't do astro, and so I focus a lot on particle physics and the data analysis of that, and I was like, how this could help with astronomy research and stuff like that. So you've always got to take it within your own reference. But yeah, I think if you don't have a master's and it's not that you have gained enough research on par with a master's, I think that is something you could say.
I think the best thing to do will be to contact them, tell them about yourself, and then see what they say is probably the best thing to do. But I think not having a master's instantly adds several asterisks. What's the plural of asterisks? I don't know.
Asterisks? No one really asked this question.
No,
I mean, if chat knows, I am looking at chat, so... But yeah, I think it is a thing in that, pardon me, it can always be scary to do it, but emailing admissions people and just saying, I have X, Y, and Z, is this suitable for applying, or do I need to do something else to do this? Like, I think, because I know someone who applied for the DAMP's PhD, and they said, you don't need their masters, but you really do need your masters for that.
DAMPed is a whole other level.
Asterisks. I think that makes more sense. It sounds nicer than asterisks.
So it's its own plural.
Yeah.
Okay.
I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Next question. But yeah, admission stuff it's always a tough thing because it's always so personal.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing for just PhD applications is just apply everywhere you can bring yourself to. As many applications as you can keep track of is essentially what you need to do.
And make sure you don't copy and paste applications, because that's a bit... It's always, as much as you are personal, the university you're applying to is also unique in
Yeah.
their own sense.
Mhm.
And open days as well. I know with COVID it is hard, but online ones, getting some experience of the university where they'll have an admissions talk and they generally will open up for questions or tell you can message them and stuff like that. So yeah. Are there any more in this chat? There is one more, which is where do you find inspiration, like on a walk or in a break room? So I suppose what motivates you day to day?
What does it mean, motivation for research stuff? Is that
Yeah,
what it
I
means?
think
I'm not
so.
Sure. So to motivate me to work, I don't know, I just have to be interested in the problem at hand.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. I think it's very noticeable when I'm working on something that I don't actually want to do. It's very clear that my productivity goes straight down, which is unfortunately normally near the end of a project. Like I've been doing a really interesting project and there's these little bits at the end you have to clean up, but it takes just as long as the...
With me, it's error bars. Like I've always got to make sure I have error bars, and that's like... But error propagation is hard.
But actually, if he means inspiration for like new ideas, this has only happened to me. So I've only been doing this like a year. It's only happened to me a couple of times, and both of those have happened at really random occasions. It's been either like, well, actually, no, one of them, the more interesting one, I won't go into too much because I'm still working on this and trying to work it out. But it kind of came from this kind of modern computational methods for using them in string theory. And someone was literally just giving a talk and they mentioned something at the end, and it just clicked with something else I was talking to someone else about.
I've had
solution solves this problem.
Yeah.
And there's other ones as well where it's just I don't know, just for some reason trying to fall asleep and it suddenly clicks. Hang on, this thing this thing might work like this. Let's grab a bit of pen and paper and write something down before I fall asleep.
PhD or any research, the first bit of inspiration is you are interested in the subject. Like I don't know anyone who is doing research that they don't enjoy, because it's just so hard. Like lots of PhD discoveries or ideas just come from unique novel ideas. I think for myself, if I need like inspiration, if I'm feeling a bit down, I've discovered this since like masters, which is just watching the Characteristic of Physical Law by Feynman, so the Messenger lectures.
Those are really
and
good.
That definitely might be because of Glenn, but
I watched those when I was in like A level.
I also watched those in A level, and that's what showed me what I knew physics could be. And throughout the whole thing, I've literally got it here with me right now, but I've got the Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, and some other stuff, and I've always found those like it's how to think about physics, and I just find it inspiring, and that's what I find if I need a pick-me-up or something to motivate me to do research. That's what I would do, is Feynman or Holloway. And I found out you can actually listen to the actual lectures or the Feynman lectures.
They're on the website, I think,
on the recordings, some of them are a bit crackly, but some of them are quite audible, and it's just interesting because he teaches it to engineering students, not physics students, which I think people forget.
Well, I think it was... I don't think it was engineering, was it? I think it was just generic. I think it was people taking... Well, it's just the US system, remember?
Oh, okay,
I think
so
it was
just like science and stuff.
It was people who just were taking physics courses without being physics majors, I think that's what it was, I don't think it was specifically engineering.
Okay. But I think, that's what some people forget, is that it's not directly related to physics students. But inspiration for me, that's that. People are adding more.
On Discord,
and I'm like,
chat.
we've got questions on Twitch I've got to get to. This is more a place where you get work done.
Where do I get work done?
A place where you go when you're stuck on a hard problem. Like, what declogs your mind?
I don't know if I go anywhere in particular when I'm stuck on a hard problem.
I think for me it's just taking a break from work, like having a coffee with friends, chatting. Going to bed.
That's normally when things happen. Taking a break is good. If you're just banging your head against the wall non-stop, I don't think it's... normally taking a break and coming back can help.
I think I'm quite lucky in where the Institute of Astronomy is situated. Just any conversation will involve going outside in a very pretty area.
Well, so it's the same, like the theory building at Oxford as well. It's quite nice with that. Immediately next to it is Uni Parks.
I think that's one thing that is a massive bonus of Oxbridge is... what also motivates me is just the idea of I'm in this prestigious place. Like, I don't feel terrified by it. I feel humbled by it in that I can do something here, or I've got all these pretty buildings, I've got all these pretty aesthetic things. And for me, at least, that, like, I suppose calms me down or takes me a step back, and then I can reapproach that problem and stuff like that. For me, that's what I do. Also, hello, Ed. I see you were there. Very loud. I don't know. Anyway, I suppose we should move on to the Twitch questions, which I think have mostly been Captain Reed and Cat.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
No, I'm just laughing at some of them.
Oh no.
Wait, well, not a question, but I would wonder if Cambridge followed suit with other unis and mortarboards were removed from the dress code because women weren't allowed to wear them, and they wanted equality dress code. No, I think Cambridge just has never worn them unless you're a fellow or PhD. I think that's just been the case. I think there was the case in that women were allowed to wear the Tudor caps, like the fluff. The ones Royal Holloway wear for their PhDs.
Oh, the bonnet type.
Yeah,
ones.
the bonnet.
Yeah.
But I think most people, even if you're a woman, wear mortarboards. I think if you're a PhD. But most people just don't wear them in Cambridge. I know that.
You have to take the mortarboard to the exam hall with you in Oxford, which I find ridiculous because you have to wear the robes to the exams.
Yeah, but
people say, the people who did their undergraduates here were saying it was good for just like, because they don't allow a pencil case either, so it's good for carrying all your stationery in, dumping it on the table, and then
Okay, so the next one, also by Captain Reed. I'm gonna have to click all of these off at some stage. Who's the best streamer in the Dr. Simon Clark Ascended Universe, and why is it Cat? We will not answer this. Cat Does Maths asks, what have I missed in the stream so far? So, from when you asked that, which was like an hour ago, you had
my educational background, really.
It was just like primary school and secondary school stuff and the structure of the stream, but I think you caught on to that much soon, like fine. The next one was by Learning Kamikaze. Do you follow football? Did you want to see R7 last night? I don't think any of us follow football.
No, I'm not a fan of football. I follow some sports. I'll occasionally watch rugby. And yeah, that was it. Oh, for a long time though, I mean the sports though. I mean for a long time I was really into taekwondo. It was like
that's
for a long time. So in secondary school, that was definitely my kind of like chill out kind of thing. So it's taekwondo for years and years and years. I was technically this is a nice bit of trivia I quite like, which is that I was I was technically at one point through one of the several organizations. I think it was Puma. I was the Puma British champion for under 18.
That's interesting.
But there's a caveat, which was it was because of an admin error, and I was the only one in my weight category who turned up.
Okay. I had a similar thing with piano, and I came third in my school music competition because there was only 3 in the category.
Oh no!
So I got third instantly. But yeah.
They tried to get me to stand on the podium, and it would be on like a website and stuff, and all the official photos just me, and I refused. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. There's no way I'm standing on the podium by myself. Do I carry all 3 trophies as well?
Do you get bronze, silver, and gold?
No, I just got. I can sit. It's over there actually. I don't know why I've kept it, but it was so.
I think I would keep it. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
Let's. What else? What is the best? Why is it maths? What
was the
I'll
question?
frame it this way. Apart from physics and maths, do you have like a particular field that you sort of enjoy or have an appreciation for?
Oh, many subjects. It depends what you mean. In what sense? But also, why are physics and maths ruled out immediately?
I know, because we know that you like physics and maths.
Yeah. But you
unless
choose
there is
between them instead of
you're telling me that you actually just test it.
No, I like physics and maths a lot, but I like them both for very different reasons as well. I'd actually struggle to say which one I like more.
Yeah.
I prefer to work in physics, but I actually think I prefer reading about maths at the same time. but I prefer working in physics. But for other subjects, I mean, computer science I use quite a lot. I enjoy computer science, especially theoretical computer science, which is very mathematical. I mean, this is something I think that people like ourselves in physics don't necessarily appreciate, is that just like in physics, there is really a theory experiment, in inverted commas, divide in computer science also. And that's and theoretical computer science is really pretty cool.
Yeah, this actually works quite well into the next question, which is, if you hadn't done string theory, what would you have done for your PhD?
Formal quantum field theory. And that was the other stuff I was applying for. Yeah, formal quantum field theory and string theory are the main things I was looking for.
Nice and simple. Okay, next one. You may have covered it already, but what are your ambitions after your PhD? We did not discuss this.
No, we didn't actually.
We can note this down for next time. After your PhDs, because science communicators, teachers, lecturers, researchers, corporate slaves, it goes on.
So I'd like to try and stay in research if I can, but of course this comes with eventually doing teaching and stuff, which is something I definitely enjoy to do. I have frequently, maybe me saying this here will make me try and do it, but I have frequently been tempted to try and make some online video things on like quantum field theory in particular, because I think there are so few ones that are actually any good. They're all pretty crap, the ones I know of. Mostly because I think everyone teaches quantum field theory wrong. The only book that got it right was Weinberg, and Weinberg is hard to read. So maybe just try and do some videos of that make it easier to digest what he's talking about, which is basically, rather than saying fields imply particles, you can do an argument by group theory that particles actually imply fields. Because it's kind of weird in terms of like, it's a weird subject in this sense, and how every other quantum theory we think of the fundamental thing as being the states, right? And the states in quantum field theory are particles, and your operators are fields. But for some reason, then we now reverse this, and it's like, quantum field theory, the operators are clearly the important part. Why are we switching this up? Surely then we should be focusing on the states, which are particles. So I would teach it that way around.
Okay, that's it. No, I understand that sort of that question, because it's like, I have thought that as well. Like, why did we switch from one thing to which one's more fundamental? Which one would stuff like that. This is quite a broad question, but I'm just going to say integrals. What maths do you use in your PhD?
Me, actually, I don't do any. I don't do many integrals.
The
integrals
I'm still
I do
obsessed with you on the whiteboard writing the.
Yeah, that was doing the loop integrals. Yeah, no, I don't do that anymore really. So I'll occasionally do a loop integral if I have to, but not if I can help it. No, most of the time I'm doing algebraic geometry is the big thing I'm dealing with. Algebraic geometry, differential geometry. Those are the main things I'm spending most of my time looking at. But occasionally a few other little bits come in, but it's mostly huge amounts of group theory. I mean, you can't. Modern high-energy physics theory, you have to use large amounts of group theory. You can't get away from it. Particularly representation theory, actually, of Lie groups is so crucial.
Okay. I mean, what maths do I use? I really don't know, because I've barely done any maths. Like, it's been ridiculous. Like, I've had to do I've purposely had to teach myself maths just so I don't forget maths. Or like I'm doing programming stuff and that does the maths for me. Like, but I suppose
that's a big thing in terms of we teach everyone. Saying about programs doing the maths for you, we teach everyone how to do integrals from when they start university. No one actually does it in research anymore. You open up Mathematica, integrate this thing for me. It sounds good to me.
One thing I have learned is sanity checks for your code.
Yes.
Where you have to know how integrals work. You have to know the actual mathematics just to make sure your code is working correctly. That is something which I didn't appreciate until my supervisor had a heart-to-heart of, please do sanity checks of your code. A raise for life. That is what I also learned. What I've done recently is statistical data analysis, so fitting curves and minimizing. I forgot what the actual maths is called for that, like the field. Is it just minimizing problems, or
I'm not sure.
I don't know, something statisticsy. The next question: what non-academic advice do you have to anyone doing or wanting to do a PhD?
Non-academic advice.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, I think that depends on the subject also, probably. Just make sure you're doing something that you'll enjoy.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
guess.
something people sort of sometimes brush
Yeah.
aside. Is that
People
Yeah.
often just do PhDs, I think, because I don't know, they maybe started their degree thinking they wanted to do a PhD,
yeah.
and then didn't really think about it after that point.
Mhm.
Like I know people who I can tell really are not actually enjoying their PhDs, but are just kind of doing it. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to describe
They're
it.
just going along with the flow,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah,
fully
yeah.
there.
So yeah, just make sure it's something you enjoy and that you actually do want to do it. That would be my
yeah,
main
and I
advice.
think it's also fine to say that. But then it's also, you have the question of how do I know what I'm doing is right. But I think you would know when you. I don't know. I mean, that's why I quite liked at least Cambridge with the I-Ways, because you had 3 months to sort of choose. You basically had to say I wanted to do a PhD in astronomy, and that was it. And then you got to handpick some people, academics that you wanted to work with, and you did like mini projects with them. But yeah, I think PhDs or supervisors are sometimes lenient with, because they want you to also enjoy what you want to do as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a hard question. I think also, take breaks. That's another one. Try and have a work-life schedule thing. Your life is not your PhD, though it might seem like it is.
I may have problems with that last one.
I know, I have
Personally.
problems with that, but that's just because I actually enjoy my PhD and I don't mind working on it, which I think is a good sign. But I do try and, I mean, it's why I do this, because I enjoy the graphic stuff, even if stuff goes wrong. But making sure you have hobbies. Like my supervisor's like, do you have hobbies? I'm like, yes. He's like, good. I want you to have hobbies. I'm like, thank you. But yeah, it's important to do stuff you enjoy that isn't your PhD. Join societies, as Captain Reed says. And yeah, like, just, this would be weird, but just be a human being. Try and be the best human being you can. And if you do that, can't go wrong. Like, yeah. What's another one? There are a few questions, but we're getting through them. Toad's colour is, I think, red. This was when we were talking about colourblind. How many monsters like maths? I don't get the joke. How many monsters like maths, Captain Reed? I don't get it.
He's complaining that people are saying they like maths, I think.
Oh, how many monsters like maths? Oh.
Yeah. I think he's calling us monsters.
Yeah, I agree. Like, why would you ever like maths? But then, like, I appreciate maths. I understand where some of it's coming from. I mean, the pure mathematicians, they can sort of, go under the carpet and never come out.
Under the carpet?
Look, I'm mixing up my phrases. But I know it's a joke, and it's Catsup, but we're answering it seriously. No, I think that is the thing. Like, I don't like maths. I don't like admitting I like maths, and I hate it, and I hate statistics. But then I realise all my life is maths, and I'm like, it's not too bad. It's adequate. It's acceptable.
That's very sad.
I don't mind being in the same room, but I would always pick fun of mathematicians. And I remember you did have to suffer with me questioning all your theory choices. I think in your fourth year, because it's like, why would you do this? This is just.
It's good.
Too
I'm surrounded.
scary.
I'm just looking around. I'm surrounded actually more by mathematics books right now than I am physics books.
I've got my Galactic Dynamics textbooks, some Brandon Sanderson, Glenn's books, and T.
Literally, the two books just here are algebraic geometry and Calabi-Yau manifold. Your favorite?
The Calabi-Yau manifolds, fantastic. Great. Let's see. Had either of you actually encountered a blackboard before you attended university, or am I just old? I'd never encountered a blackboard, chalkboard, whatever, before university, which is interesting because...
Ow!
Well, we had whiteboards, and then...
I did it in school, but you see blackboards elsewhere.
No,
it's not like
I didn't see blackboards until university. We had whiteboards and then interactive whiteboards, electronic. And
I had the same as well. There were still blackboards around.
No, we didn't have those. And then basically every subsequent bit of education. So I went to a relatively a secondary school founded in like the 60s or something, though it got refurbished in 2005. That's old. Then secondary school, late 1800s, and that didn't have whiteboards. That had whiteboards, no blackboards. And then university, less 1800s, and that's where I met my first blackboard. And now I see chatters like, how did you see?
That's impressive.
How did you not see blackboard?
Like, that's ridiculous.
I did have overhead projectors. I did have those.
I think as a kid, I had a blackboard thing, like a kid's blackboard thing that you would draw on or whatever.
So Victorian. Ugh.
But also, like, have you never been to a pub? They have like things listed.
I mean,
outside
I encountered a blackboard in my life, but not in education. I just found it so strange. My primary school was not rich. It was a voluntary aided school. But what was it? Yeah, I just always found it interesting how universities, the height of education, of science, blackboard.
Because I know it's better.
I know it is better. I do agree with you. I do like blackboards. I do think they're great. And I was talking to an academic in Iowa, and I'm like, the first thing they did in their room when they saw a whiteboard was they ripped it off. Well, they didn't themselves, but they got someone to rip it off for them and used the blackboard that was behind it. But yeah.
I like the fact they didn't remove the blackboard. They just stuck a whiteboard.
Yeah,
in
even
front
in
of
my
it.
office. Well, I say it's my office, Douglas Goff's office. Yeah, that's got a massive whiteboard, but underneath it, I can see the blackboard. I'm like, it's teasing me that I can see the edge of it because I know I would prefer the blackboard.
I'm just going to conclusion. You're actually like way younger than I think you are. I know you're a year younger
only
than
like,
me.
What, 1 year younger than you?
Yeah, you're 1 year
At
younger.
least 2?
Yeah.
Apparently the United Kingdom changed in those 2 years.
Apparently. Well, I never had any at school again, but they're just something elsewhere. There was at some school. Actually, some classrooms did. Some classrooms did.
Okay, and then the next one was, do you think you've ever... oh, we answered this one. Do you think you would have been better prepared if you did a maths degree than a...
Right, yeah. And then I then said yes, but then
no.
If I was a mathematician, I think I would probably say no, yeah.
Stuff like asbestos, magnetic blackboards, and I thought Beach was talking about magnetic fields. I was like, never mention magnetic fields. We don't talk about that here. Can string theory explain magnetic fields? Do you do that?
Yeah, it can do that. It does that immediately. The simplest string theory does that.
Oh no, I just feel like magnetic fields are literal black magic.
Just a moving electric field.
Stop. They're too. No, don't go into EM. I get PTSD from that.
Yeah, no, string theory. Yeah, string theory easily explains magnetism, electromagnetism. It's actually so the kind of let me think. Yeah, every single string theory. So there's the 5 different superstring theories and bosonic string theories. All of them have electromagnetism in them.
Okay.
Immediately.
It's just you know the joke about not PhDs, astro and magnetic fields, and that if we can't explain something, we just say it's a magnetic field.
I haven't heard that before.
Really, you haven't? That was one of the first things, like Benningham. Oh no, yeah, because he was.
I wasn't taught by him.
Yeah,
no.
He was like, because he did astro properly, or astro theory. And he was like, yeah, it's because of magnetic fields. And if you can't answer a question astro, just say magnetic fields. And I've taken that with me, and apparently it really is true. We just, if we can't explain something, we immediately go to, have we thought of magnetic fields? Do we need to think about them? And answer is always, please no. Please no magnetic fields. When I'm having Kat on the show, I will have Kat on the show. But I wanted to interview Tom first because I know Tom, and I thought this would be a good first show. How do I feel about strawberry laces? I love them; they're great. Do you like? Have you got a favourite sweet?
Strawberry laces are good. A favourite sweet?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Most sweets I kind of like, to be honest.
Okay, next one. Wait, you know each other IRL? I think if you've watched this interview,
who asked that
question?
We know each other. Who said that question?
That was Kat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we know each other IRL.
Yeah,
Sam was the year below me at undergrad. We didn't realise this though. Watching Simon's stream was for some time that we actually knew each other.
Yeah.
In life. So I just sent Sam a message on Facebook, just like, "You're samurais, right?" And then suddenly all realised.
I was very concerned. I was like, Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
it was a very funny interaction. Let's see. Where do you get all the money for your donations? Are you just a drug dealer? We don't talk about that.
That's a yes. Is that what you're saying, Sam? You are a drug dealer.
I can either confirm nor deny. If I did, I might have to kill you, but we won't go into that. So I don't want to harm you. Coffee is my answer. Which I suppose is a drug, but though I do not deal it, I'm a consumer of drugs. An avid consumer. Next one by Kat is thoughts on pilot wave theory. I've heard of this. Pilot waves.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not. No, that's the answer. It sounds good, but it actually turns out it's pretty fundamentally non-local. So it kind of just breaks special relativity just off the bat. So it does reproduce quantum mechanics, but there is no natural generalization of it that still includes special relativity. Okay. So it's a no-go immediately. Yeah. But it is interesting that it does actually reproduce the same measurements.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then we get the gift sub by Tony Lyon, which again, very grateful, very thankful. Where's the clip it from? I don't know. I'm seeing chats confusing. What rugby team do you support? So we're back. We're now 18 minutes ago. We're almost at the end, so we're doing well. You mentioned you like rugby, and Kat loves rugby. So
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I used to, so because of where I live, I don't really have a favourite team anymore, and there's a reason for that, which was that because of where I live, it was the London Wasps, and for reasons that will take me ages to go into, I don't really like the London Wasps anymore. But if you look them up, I think there is a section about controversy of them moving around and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have a favourite team now. I think I need to find a new one.
My rugby team. If I'm in the UK, it's London Irish, and then if I'm not if I'm in Ireland, it's Munster, because our local team is like Munster, and I'm related to John Hayes, he's too old now to play rugby, but that was my team.
I wonder who Kat supports now.
She supports the Ospreys. I think that's what she supports.
That's the Swansea one.
Yeah, I think so. I'm waiting for Kat's either all in caps no or yes.
I think it's the Swansea one.
Yeah, there we go. Ospreys in caps. There we go.
And it's Swansea as well, is it? Or is it? I'm not sure.
I think it's Swansea. What's the next one?
No, I family knows.
Do you like rugby league? Is the question. This is because Kat asked a rugby question.
Let's not go into all rugby stuff.
Yeah,
we'll become a rugby stream if we keep doing this.
Why does Kat want to know what 17 times 3 divided by 9? Is this a meme? I don't know.
Has she done the divide symbol?
No, she's written. Well, word for word, she's written what 17 times 3 divided by 9.
So I think the reason for it is because this is one of these kind of silly Facebook things you have. Okay. But actually, if you order operations of that is unclear unless you do an actual overscore with brackets or whatever, or actually write it as a fraction. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason she said it. And so it's badly written.
Yeah, I hate that so much.
Because if you can, because the standard way of doing multiplication and division at the same time doesn't make sense when you have that equation.
Okay.
And I can't be bothered to do the numeracy to work out both. So choose one of the two answers at your wish.
Just chat is confusing. And then I think, did you ever did you just never play with chalk as a child? Yes, I did. I played with chalk on a pavement, but not a blackboard. Have you not seen Oliver Twist or any Victorian London thing? We had our little hoop and stick. And yes, I remember playing with hoops all my childhood, and I love hoops. Hoops are great. Hula hoops. Skidding them on the floor, throwing up in the air. Great. Circular forces, whatever they are, I don't know. And that's the final question. Let me check Discord to see if there were any.
Were there any others?
Also, the music has stopped for I think forever. Because I stopped it. I don't know how long that was for, but I think we were chatting loud enough. But yeah, there are no more questions. Just Cap insulting people. Look, I never like to talk about centrifugal or centripetal forces because I still don't know the difference. Look, it scares me.
Scares you?
Mechanics scares me unless it's like Lagrangians, because then it's just differentiating.
Yeah.
And then
Well, the answer is that centripetal force is real, centrifugal force is not. That's the easy way. Because it's an inertial force.
Yeah. Sam, you're not alone. I know I'm not alone. I just remember doing, was it rotating reference frames in advanced classical?
Oh yeah.
And just crying.
Oh no, what?
Because I'm like,
oh,
why?
It wasn't that bad, is it?
You've made nice, simple, smooth physics become jaggedy and cross products and like Coriolis forces, and then there's like another force.
Euler force. Yeah.
Euler forces.
Force, if you're rotating it at an accelerating speed or something.
Yeah, it's like, no. I also, that might have been because I literally was running from UCL to get to that lecture, and I, in my madness, decided to type the lecture up in LaTeX as it was happening, which just was constant typing, like not even hearing anything, just stream of consciousness. I mean, it helped with learning LaTeX quite well, but no, never again. Does chat have any more questions before we bid adieu to this madness?
Yeah.
Got to wait a few seconds for them to realise. No, I don't. Thank you, Toad. Can we press the button? What button? Yes, clear all the queue. Do that. Yes. Because everyone's like, do we clear the queue? Are we allowed to? Yes, clear the queue. I want like a breaker switch, like Beckett in Ghostbusters. That was the breaker switch. And it's like, shut it down. That always cheered me up. Oh, we've reached the end of the Epidemic Sounds music. That is why it keeps stopping. So now we know how long that playlist is. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. Oh, my activity feed is still there, but if you've cleared it, fantastic. No, I'm not gonna do an. I'm not gonna. I can't do the this one because only I'm on it. I mean, you can see Tom somewhat below there.
Somewhat? What do you mean by see me somewhat?
Yeah, you know by the Obsession with Seven, have you not seen the dance music?
Yeah. Is that going on right now?
It's going on right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what's going on.
So I don't hear it. I
know you can't hear it. What's the other one? We have this one, but I'm now in the corner. There we go. I thought the music would carry on going there. I was scared. Look at his forehead, because it was just your forehead as well. What else? Dump the gun there. I want to show my partner the chaos that is this stream. Okay, it is full of chaos.
Apparently, still not connected. You're saying the chaos. I'm still apparently not connected to the internet. So I don't know what's up with that.
I'm not questioning it. I am happy whatever quantum system you are in.
I can't open up any website. Just yeah, I don't know. Nothing else works. Spotify says it's not connected and complaining. Steam says it isn't. Everything isn't. Just Zoom. Zoom is working and nothing else, and I don't know how.
Just don't question it. Anyway. It's been, I think, 3 hours and 18 minutes.
2 hours.
We are over. We've done it. We've gotten through everything. And somewhat on time. I think it worked out pretty well. Like, 2 hours.
I think so too. Yeah.
1 hour for just you and me, and then the next hour for questions and stuff. Yeah, yeah, that worked really well. Now I have to work out who was live so I can actually raid people. But yeah, I hope people enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I need
Thank
to
you
get,
for
like,
having me on, then, Sam, as well.
I did
and
enjoy having you
lots
on.
of good
I thought you were
questions as
a
well.
fantastic guest.
I think you're a fantastic host.
Thank you. Oh, the inaugural, the PhD late night with me, and you as my guest, fantastic. I suppose I'll just raid, I don't know, the Yogs. I don't know, because they're not doing Final Fantasy. Oh, thank you for not banning Cat and I for questions. No, I wouldn't ban you. Though
Just
I
time
was
them out.
literally about to type -ban instead of -raid, which would have been interesting if I just banned the Ogscast from my stream. Very great. Look, no cap. I'm not feeding your obsession with Final Fantasy. Yeah. Actually, no. I'll raid. Sure. I'll raid Mousy. Ban the Hogs. You know, I'll raid Mousy. Is it Mousy Mouse or? Oh no, it's just Mousy now. That is going. I kid you not. But yeah, I hope people enjoyed this. I certainly thoroughly enjoyed it. Who knows, OBS is now just sad, and that's why it's all lagging, because it never used to do this, but I haven't rambled on about that.
What happens now then? Do I get to plug my book if I have one or something?
Yeah, do you have a book? Do you have something to plug?
I don't have. I can plug Science Click, that's one.
Oh,
as I often help
sorry,
with that.
I immediately was like, yes, I'll mention it, and then went, anyway. Yes,
Yeah.
you have like 30 seconds to plug.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I often do work with Science Click, the YouTuber, and so watch those videos. Some of them you'll see my name at the end of things I've helped on, especially quantum field.
So if you'd like, so one I saw today, because I'll mention it, was how to visualize general relativity, which
I'm on that one, I think. I think that's one of the ones I help with.
Yeah. Because and then all the video for QFT with Simon had some of the stuff
It did.
for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do that, chat. You know what to do.
String theory one. Spoke up about string theory today.
Also string
More
theory.
string theory in that.
Fantastic. Anyway, thank you everyone for this stream. We will be back hopefully next week with another guest. I don't know who the guest will be. I will message them. But we shall see. Anyway, we're about to raid in literally 5 seconds. So goodbye, good night. Have a fantastic time. We're gone.